Hey, so did you ever heard about the Claire Williams cedar tree? In the early years, like in the early 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, a lot of furnitures, coffins, telephone poles were made out of it. And in the beginning of last year, we only have about 15,000 cedar trees left. So on a scale of 100%, that was about 8% left. And then there was the fire in December month last year, and then we had lost a few of them as well. So today we have Dawie Burger who will inform us more about the trees and how we can get involved as the community of the Cederberg Valley. So yeah, I hope you will enjoy it. Let's go. Hey everybody, so today we have Dawie Burger here from Sustainable Cedars. This guy is our hero whenever it comes to the cedar trees. So Dawie, welcome.
Thank you, Herschil.
All right. So you are part of the Cedar Sustainable Cedars. How did you get involved?
Basically, been living the last 18 years in the Cederberg. I met my wife in Cape Town back then. And yeah, when we started to live in the Cederberg, it was still the old fax day machine times. And a lot have changed. And our passion grew. And my background is conservation and game lodge management. So I've got a deep love for conservation and protecting wild spaces.
So I remember in 2024 we had about 15,000 cedars left, and then last year we got the fire. How many do we have?
Sure, that's a very bitter topic. Yeah, we lost a lot of cedars due to more frequent fires and also just climate change, the factor of climate change. Very harsh conditions. We had hardly a winter this year. So we are looking at about 8,000, 9,000 cedars left currently. And that's a very recent research paper that's been done about temperatures and fires. The thing is now we need to really get our action, our game plan in order, really have a good plan. The climate factor is a real thing that we can't change much, but now how do we adapt to that? So yeah, 8,000, we need to find lots of seeds around the entire Cederberg. That's about 25,000 hectares where the cedars occur. And we need to go and find those seeds for the genetics. There's currently a genetic project running for 2 years through Prof. Peter Linde and Nicole Ealing. And we're looking at the genetics of that. So we need to stock and get it in the freezer and start germinating those seeds in winter time.
Yeah, talk about, so last year you told me about that you used drones. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so we use also drones. We have two concepts. We use the local community to plant cedars with the youth so that they can hike into the mountain. We learn them how to basically grow cedars, but also how to disperse the saplings in the right locations. And yeah, it's a nice team building effort. And then we also use technology because the problem is what I found is if we just concentrate on the human aspect, we might not be able to plant in all the locations that we really want to plant. So that's why we use technology, the drone aspect. So we can go into that cliffy areas, dangerous areas, where you really struggle to get to, and basically bombard the cedar seed plugs into these rock crevices and rocky outcrops. The second action, or the second is planting them with the youth out and finding those spots. Yeah, so we got quite a nice setup, but it took a lot of years just to get a recipe, but also a game plan.
I've read that a lot of coffins, telephone poles, sips were made out of it, and I can understand it because it's such a beautiful tree. So, how old does a cedar get?
So some botanists would say 600. I would say about 400, 450 years old. We're also running a project, a climate factor project, cut. We basically use old cedar wood and we do cuttings and we cut it with chainsaw and we look at the rings. It's a paleo cedar project. It's been run through Jonathan from Chile. and Anton Kuneke from Bosbo Stellenbosch. And they basically look at the climate factors, what was these ideal conditions for these cedars when they really thrived. And in the last 12,000 years, it was much icy, much colder, less fires, almost no fires. It was more cold and wet, perfect weather for the cedars. So yeah, the cedars are unfortunately on its way out, but it's more like what aspect that the humans take out can we put back and at least stretch it out for another 200 years or 800 years or 1,000 even.
So I've also read that these cedars, sort of seeds gets about 12 years old, and then there's the crops that gets about 30 years old. Can you explain about more about that as well?
Yeah, so the seeds, the cones, they go in phases, 3 years, then they start opening up. So it goes through the flowers period and the pollen, and then it basically grows the seed. The seed pods would sit on the tree for 3 years, and then it will become ripe. The trigger points for that seed pods to open up is going to be basically September, October. So what happens is a wet spell in winter, and as soon as you get a dry spell, let's say 25, 30 degrees for a week long, then that's a trigger point for the tree. And then that pod will start going open. And inside is, I think, about 12 to 16 seeds inside. And if they didn't open those seeds that are actually ripe for the third year, it will sit longer on the tree till about March, April, right over the hot December period. And those seeds will open up with the first dew that we find in the mornings. They'll open up. And it's quite interesting, because then after the wet spell, it's a really good germination period, and also a good germination period between April and May, just before your winter. Then you also have lots of seed coming down. The third thing is when there's a fire, you lose basically that entire tree that dies during the fire, all that seed drop. So you also have that factor. So with this big fire we just had that destroyed about 53,000 hectares, we have loads of seed now. A lot of the old cedars got actually damaged by this fire. It was such a different fire that we are used to. It was almost like the perfect storm.
So if I take a seed today, or say a baby tree which is about 5 to 10 years old, if I plant it today, when I get to the age of 9 to 5, hopefully, how tall will this tree be?
How tall? I think depends. There's a few factors, that you planted in the ideal conditions. Was it protected next to a big boulder? Was it facing more the winter sun? All of that factors will actually show to you that the tree, was it in its ideal condition to grow fast? Also in the genetics, is it a fast grower? Is it a slow grower? But a tree of about 100 years, you are looking at about, I would say, 15 to 12, 15 meters of about 100. So we got a plantation, Dierif, close to Drio. It's about an hour and a half walk. And those trees are about 100 years old and they're in a plantation, but they're standing in clay soils where the natural cedars are standing more in the sandstone, in the rocks, in the crevices. That plantation is standing in almost like in a fountain area with the clay, and they all protect each other. So they basically create their own microclimate in that plantation.
So in Canada, there's the Canada cedar. In Lebanon, there's the Lebanon cedar. We have one in Malawi, in Australia. So the William cedar, what makes this tree such a special tree?
So we've got 3 different cedars, the Klein William cedar, the willow cedar, and the Cape Mountain cedar. The Klein William cedar is known for the Cederberg. That's where the Cederberg names come from. Wittertonia cederbergensis. What makes it is, I think, what will be the Cederberg without the cedar tree? And a lot of the local communities and people, I mean, they lived off that wood, yes, but that's part of their culture, history. So it's basically taking a huge iconic piece of history away if we didn't have these cedar trees. And it also plays a vital role in the whole environment, from the insects that uses it, the birds. It's the largest shaded tree in the Cederberg. So I think it's really special, something unique, and it's been here for a long time.
Just so many months ago, we had a big forest, cedar forest,
Yeah.
but it's gone now. How long do you think will it take to get that forest back? Back once upon a time.
No, I don't. So it was never like a nice enough forest, not like a closed canopy forest. That's just my own opinion. It was more clusters of cedars around on these rocky areas. Yeah. So we'll never have. I don't think we'll have that privilege. We can only try and save the species and get them at the best spots and best locations to just extend the period. Unfortunately, we are in a downward spiral with climate change, just the temperatures going up and the humidity. I mean, just for instance, this year we learned how big, it's not always the temperature, it's actually how big the humidity plays a role in this fire we just recently had. It's basically sucking all the moisture out of the plant. So September, October, we had low humidity for the entire winter time. Well, after winter, we had the whole summer, no humidity, 20%. That's when trees actually die. So what we also picked up, some of the older cedars, like 250-year-old cedars, they basically die because they're stressed. It's either black frost coming down a valley into the lower valleys, and they basically scorched to death. They're stressed to death. So it's all this big intervals or big periods that actually happen, and the stress is just too much, and the tree dies. I do compare it a lot with humans, trees. If an old person is stressed or falls over, how long does it take for them to recover? If they do recover, it's the same with trees, especially the cedars. If they get a big knock with a fire or a not really a cold spell, but just black frost, they get taken out completely. Their leaves are not adapted to fires, and it doesn't have to be flames. It can just be heat itself. So yeah, it's quite a lot of ins.
Yeah. So how can the community can get involved with you guys? And also, it's almost bouldering season. We will expect a lot of boulders because that's the case every year. How can the boulders, the community, and every tourist get involved with you guys?
Yeah. So what's nice is, especially with the bouldering people, a lot of them are from abroad, international, and it helps spreading the word and spreading awareness and making links as well. Every country's got its special stuff, and this is what we are proud of. This is the Cedars, and just creating that awareness and making those links, but also building those relationships and pulling those people in. And we do talks. So we go to Travelers Rest and we go to awareness talks over there. We do a lot of awareness talks in the southern Cederberg, just spreading the awareness. And that's how businesses and people get actually involved. And they also get physically involved. When we have these events, we also go out, let's say the second day, and we go plant cedars and go show them what is a cedar and where do we need to plant these saplings out. Yeah, so that's also a very nice way to get involved.
Dawie, thank you so much for your time. This was so useful. Now I know so much more about this tree. Thank you so much.
Thank you.